Guys, it's me. I'm just actually just hooking up Instagram right here so we can roll. Awesome. Okay, so I want to take Coffee with Shanda in a different direction today. I want to talk about faith and how I actually use prayer inside of my business and inside of my life to really kind of hook myself up to success. So I think a lot of times when you and I've seen this a lot. Like a lot of people have asked me this question. It's like, when you have lots of ideas on what you want to create in your business, or you have, your belief systems that like your close friends know all about your belief systems. But when you get on, like when you turn on a live or you get out here in the mass public, often people shy away from just sharing what their actual faith is and shy away from like saying anything. Like I heard right now in school, not in my son's school, but in school, people are not allowed to like say that their belief in God and like all this type of stuff. So I just wanted to unpack this for a second, because first of all, it's a conversation that a lot of people have in like, a closet door moment where they kind of don't talk about it in their workspace. They don't talk about it. I remember a time when I actually felt odd about talking about God inside my own company, because I felt uncomfortable that what if I offended somebody, and what if somebody didn't have the same beliefs as me? And so I just want to talk about this for a second, because I think we get to all be free around what it is that we believe. And for me, like every morning I get up, I read the Bible. I used to read the New Believer's Bible, which I love. And now I'm reading this Bible that is like, it's a New Testament. And it's all about passion, the Passion Translation. And the Passion Translation. And I love it. And I had made a commitment to myself that I wasn't just going to have a relationship with God one way. I was actually going to study the Word, just like, going to a relationship or a marriage retreat, and learning about your spouse. I mean, things get better when you learn about your spouse. You know what I mean? Like things get better when you understand how to communicate better, and communicating better isn't just on your side of, saying what it is that you want to say or getting your needs met. And I think that, at least for me, a lot of my life with my walk around my business and around falling in love, and around having a family, and around having a house on the ocean, like a lot of my journey was about me asking for my needs to be met, and not really, checking in to see like, well, what does like my father think? Like, what does he want? And even to the point where my relationship with God not only has built my business, but it's also like spurring me to have these conversations with my earthly father, with the man who birthed me on this planet, and wanting to know more about him, and wanting to know what like makes him tick. Like I've been asking him to go to the beach and like to go sit on the beach together, because I actually just want to sit and hear about my dad, hear about like the great like times in his life, and just to get to know him better. And I don't know about you, but I woke up one day and I realized like I talk to my mom probably 4 or 5 times a week. And I just like hold the space and she talks to me. Well, my relationship with my dad is different. Like I can open up a space and he doesn't really talk to me. He likes me to call him, but he doesn't really talk to me. And so I don't know about you, but I shouldn't say that was my experience with God, like that he didn't really talk to me, but I didn't always hear. And sometimes it's like you like, how do you know the difference between what's an imaginary thought or what are you trying to push into the space? I mean, I've seen people who are highly spiritual say to me, oh, I'm really clear that I'm, having a baby, and then they still don't have a baby and they're 50 something years old. Right. And so it's like, how do you know what you're pushing into the space and what you should be following? So with that being said, that's about studying the Word. And so this is kind of a topic that a lot of people would be afraid to talk about on their Facebook Lives, because what if your business isn't all about God or spirituality or your beliefs? Well, I have found that even just the same as when I have an entrepreneur that I coach or train that has 2 areas of interest, like you might want to put up 2 products, right? Like you have a product over here where you want to work with, let's say, married women, and you have another product where you want to work with single women. And what I found is that, first of all, if you try and get two things up at the same time, they don't tend to get off the ground very fast, right? It's like, even inside my own business, when I start to spin, I realize even though we always have lots of things going on in this company, I always slim it down and focus on one thing all the way to completion. And then what happens is then I can pick up the next thing. So what I realized with my walk with God is that it was this one-way conversation, but I didn't really know who I was landing with. And I think that God like has led me a lot inside my business, but I can't be sure, other than the fact that any parent would always take care of their children to have the best life possible. And I definitely have the best. I think I have the best life possible up until this point. And so, but here's what I've been doing recently. And I think this is interesting. Not only am I studying the word, I've been studying the word for like 3 years now, consistently. And I even thought that maybe I wasn't learning as much about the word. And the word is just, it's no different than being in a relationship with anybody. You cannot be in a relationship with anybody and just pray or just read books that have been written about God, right? And from people like me. Like, I can write a whole book around my experience with God. But the truth is that that's like coming from a secondhand, person, right? So it's like, there's called the living word for a reason. It changes as you can receive it more. Just like reading a book, that changes as you receive it more. What I've found is that I've learned a lot more about the Bible than I've ever given myself credit for. I've learned a lot more about the way God wants me to act and think and see than I ever have before. And what I do now is, when I read the Bible, I journal. And I journal right after about what I read. And what that's done for me is really helped me. It's like solidifying what I heard in the Bible. And it also makes me pay attention more so that I can get to know God. Now, how am I applying this inside my business? Well, inside my business, what I'm doing is this helping? Like, oh, it keeps stopping and starting. Interesting. I wonder why. Sorry, guys. I could always try and restart it. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and I can always revisit this conversation later. But it's actually not surprising to me that it's cutting and starting. So how I'm using the Bible now inside my company, and have been for the last, I'd say, year and a half, is I actually pray about, I pray about, God, who do you want to be the CEO of the company? God, who do you want to run the marketing department? God, who do you want? And then what I do is I move into committed action, because there's a whole parable inside the Bible that I think is really powerful. I read this, 3 years ago to people. And I think that it really kind of solidifies the way that we think. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. Okay, so listen to this piece. So think of your mind, and think about your mind as either a fertile place, or have you ever gone and read something or studied a course and you got really inspired, and then you guys on Instagram, I'm going to restart this because people are saying that Facebook, I'm going to restart this.